Hey, welcome to the Graveyard Journal Part 2. Now, if you're new to my channel, welcome. This is the Graveyard Journal, where we talk about all things dark, spooky, macabre, and eerie. And today's topic is the preferred way to say goodbye. Now, we all know when we come onto this earth that we are here for a very short amount of time, and that our lifespans can be depicted on a matter of factors, i.e. environmental, health, external factors, i.e. other people, people that do like DUIs, if you take drugs, if you smoke, if you do alcohol, if you have a promiscuous sex life. There are many things that can take you off this mortal coil. Now the question is you can't choose how to die, but you can choose how you leave the earth. Now there are many ways that you can leave, and today we're going to be looking at just 6 different ways that you can shuttle off this mortal coil, whether you leave your body in the ground, whether you are cremated, or whether you are done in various other unusual ways of disposing of your body, which have now come onto the market. So first of all, we're just going to look at the basic, which is a traditional ground burial. So a traditional ground burial would look like this. Bodies are placed in a casket or coffin, typically around 6 foot deep. They're usually placed in a graveyard, or you can choose to be placed in a cemetery. Often a headstone is used to mark the grave, but before a headstone is placed, you do usually get wooden crosses that just have the person's name. Then you get a gravestone like this, or you can have a cross. Or back in the day, you used to be able to have stones like this. So there were different ways that you could mark your grave. And even today, the normal type of graves are just marble gravestones. Now, the grave itself was usually dug 6 foot deep, and the gravestone on top would usually have your name, your date of birth, and usually a quote or a picture. My granddad's gravestone actually has a picture of him farming with a plow. So, if you don't want to be buried in the ground, what about being cremated, leaving only ash of your body left? So being cremated is one of the more common types of burial. A lot of people do not like the idea of being buried underground, or possibly being buried alive. So the body is exposed to extreme heat, and it is burnt until nothing remains apart from ash. Things like teeth and bone remnants are taken out and usually disposed of, and then the ash is usually collected in what we call an urn. So a cremation happens usually behind a curtain. The family don't actually witness the cremation. Generally, you go to a crematorium, you see the coffin, which is then burnt, but it is usually put behind a curtain, burned off scene, and then the ashes are then later collected and put into an urn. So, if that isn't to your tea, what about something a bit more ancient? Now, different countries have different ways of burying people, and mummification is a historical ancient burial of ancient Egypt. Now, it's not a really popular burial, but it's popular in cultures, in ancient cultures, more than anything else. The body is submerged in a tank of liquid. Now, this liquid preserves the body, and it's known as plastination, where the body is mummified. Once the body is mummified, it is then wrapped in cloth, and then it is usually sealed within a tomb, or a sarcophagus, or something of that nature. It is a more definite way of preserving the body, rather than cremation, where you're destroying the body and leaving nothing left. This is where you preserve the body. So next, we're going to look at something that has been going on for quite a few years, and this is the tree burial. Now, these are less heard of, and they are more prominent in the Philippines. It protects the body from animals by putting the body in a tree, or embedding it within a tree trunk. Now, bodies are usually in a coffin still, and they are usually wrapped in a blanket, and then the blanket is then tied to a tree. Now, it sounds weird, and if you Google it, there are pictures online of coffins being put in tree trunks or coffins being hung. Now the reason they are hung is to stop animals, to stop grave robbers, predators and that kind of thing, so that the grave is preserved. It also stops things from the ground getting into the coffins. I don't know whether it would stop birds pecking at it, trying to get in it. It's a very different way of burying somebody. Now, cryonics is futuristic. So cryonics is still being researched today, and this is usually for people who are brain dead. Now, it's a process of being frozen and freezing the body basically in stasis. Now, by freezing the body, if a person is brain dead, is the belief that eventually one day they would be revived through advanced technologies, i.e. freezing the body without damaging the tissue, damaging the mind, or damaging the person even further. That way, putting a hold to deterioration and putting a hold onto the person's life, basically holding the person within stasis. Now, cryonics isn't cheap. We're looking at someone like Stephen Hawking's, I think, was cryogenically frozen, I believe. It's a celebrity thing more than anything. No one on earth really believes that eventually you could freeze somebody, technology would evolve, and then you could unfreeze somebody and they would either survive or be alive. But it is a process which some people actually put a lot of belief into, that eventually science and everything will evolve where you can have a half brain dead person, freeze them, technology advances, and you unfreeze them. But we are way away from that. And then we have one last one, which is an eco burial. So this is tree planting. So this is more for the eco warriors, you know, people that want to preserve Mother Nature, although they want to obviously go back to Mother Nature. So this is tree planting burial. Now this is a newest form of burial. It's having your ashes placed into the soil with a seed or a plant, and environmentally growing this seed or plant with your ashes. So this is an eco way of putting your body back to Mother Earth again. So you are theoretically cremated as per usual, but then your essence, if you want to call it in eco terms, is placed into the soil with a plant, and the idea is that when that plant grows throughout the years, your family can come to the plant, they can watch it grow, watch it mature, and then you can pass that on throughout your ancestry, and then your mother's mother's mother would be able to see your grave, because the tree, the plant, whichever would stay. So tree planting is one of the newest forms of being able to mark someone's death in a more humane way. If you plant a tree somewhere, you could maybe get a bench put with it so that you could sit and contemplate, and you can have family gatherings every year at the tree, or you can have a plant done with it now, or all the other things that you can do is have a bush done with it, just something that just gives back to Mother Earth. So they are preferred ways of saying goodbye. Now this is only 6 out of, I think I have around 25 different ways that you can be buried. So this is only part 1 of this types of burial series. We're going to do the rest further down the line. We don't want to peak too soon with all the macabre stuff, but they does get more weirder with the burial stuff. These were some of the more, I would say, I wouldn't say well known, but more traditional. So you have a ground burial, you could be cremated, you could be mummified, a tree burial, cryonics, or a tree planting. Now there are, I think I found 25 ways that you can be buried. So if you are stuck and you are writing your will, or you're concerned about how you will shuttle off this mortal coil, fear no more, because Raven has the lowdown on how you can have a preferred choice of saying goodbye. So if you have enjoyed this video, please do, as always, give it a thumbs up. Let me know down below, have you ever thought of how you would like to leave this earth? Me personally, I want to be cremated and I want my ashes spread in Whitby and Whitby Abbey, which is the goth mothership of the UK. So let me know down below, how would you like to shuttle off this mortal coil? Are you an eco-burier? Do you want to be cremated, or have I not given your burial secrets away just yet? Like and subscribe. Consider donating to the channel as well. I know it doesn't cost me anything to sit in a graveyard and talk, but all your donations are appreciated. This is the Graveyard Journal Part 2, and I will see you very soon, or maybe I won't. Bye guys.